Hello, people of Mizahar. This is Kreig Mister. I'm here to answer the remaining questions asked of me, along with a couple of new ones that were asked in chat. Uh, and without further ado, let's begin. Uh, this first question comes from Iriari. She asks, "Do you like tea?" And why is the answer yes? Well, that's a foregone conclusion. Yes, I do like tea, but I much prefer my tea with 2 cubes of sugar or with milk, and that's just hot tea. If it were iced tea, I would prefer it lemon or peach flavored. Otherwise, yeah, I'm very specific about my tea. If the I am not a fan of bitter taste, so if there's not a hint of sweetness involved, I will not drink it. I mean, I might drink it out of politeness, but otherwise, I will not touch it really. Uh, on to the next question. Fallon asks, "What's your shoe size?" I'm a size 45. I do hope that answers your question. I do not know the purpose of the. I do not know the purpose of this question, but yes, you have received your answer. Onward to the next one. This one comes from Seamus, I believe. Yeah, I forgot to copy the timestamp. I basically just copied the text, but not the timestamp, but with the name. And he asks, "How much do you love lasagna?" I love lasagna a lot, really. It's one of my favorite Italian dishes. Uh, mm, like, if I were to have it right now, I would not be ashamed to let you guys see me eat it on webcam and just talk. And if I were to get dramatic, I would go, "Ah, lasagna, my one and true love. Oh, if you were in my hands now, I would caress you and ravish you. And this video would become R-rated and I would be banned from YouTube." Yeah, that's the extent I love lasagna. So yes. Onward to another question from Fallon. She asks, "Cake or pie?" Mm, I'd go for cake, really. But only for the sole reason is because I have not eaten much pie in my life, so I can't really judge honestly. I mean, not a lot of people in my country make pie, and I could probably buy it as a pastry from a shop, really. But, but yeah, I can't really answer that honestly. So my default answer would be cake, mainly because I've eaten that most of my life as a dessert, and my favorite flavor would be like a homemade chocolate cake or just a plain cake with a nice sugar or cream dressing on top. I don't know what they call it. I forgot. But yeah, quite simple, really. I'm never. I'm not really complicated with my taste in food, and I'm rambling again. But yeah. Now on to some of the interesting questions. Aventus asks, "What would Krieg do if he lost his hands and survived?" Oh, that is a very, very good question. Because honestly, Krieg is a fighter. Like, and for any fighter, whether that be with sword and shield, an archer, or whatever, if they were to lose their hands, it's basically game over for them. Uh, and yeah, I have to be honest. I think what would happen was it would be Krieg would be too bloody depressed. He would be too bloody depressed. I mean, whether he will actually be like that if something If something such as losing his hands were to pass, I cannot answer really. After all, what I say here would be much different than on pen and paper when push comes to shove. But yes, he would be quite depressed, and I don't think he'll have the will to do anything. Uh, I mean, probably at some point, maybe with a little bit of madness, like he trying to strap on just a couple of gauntlets on his stubs or nubs or whatever, and try to fight normally from there. But yeah, if that were ever to happen, he'd need plenty of help from friends, family, loved ones. He would not be able to do that, to do anything by himself, particularly because uh, a loss of hands would signify a loss of independence. He would need help with a lot of things, and yeah, most people do not like to feel helpless. They do not feel like they can't do anything. And Krieg in particular, he would not like it because he is a fighter. And a fighter without his hands, as I've said, would be pretty much in big trouble. Hmm. Now, onward to the next question. This one comes from Fallon, and she asks, also, exact words, how's knighthood going? I'd say knighthood is going okay, really. Not as best as it could be, but for the reason that's my fault as writer. I have not been doing what I should be able to do. Uh, I mean, even though, as I've stated in a previous video, I'd have like actually too much free time to the point it's actually counterproductive. My imagination can run wild, but I will never actually write anything on paper. Yeah, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing at all. Uh, but yeah, it's definitely my fault as a writer. I mean, okay. Uh, out of the four prerequisites to qualify for a chance at knighthood, I'd say like I only meet two. One I definitely meet, which is longsword, and the second one is crossbow, which would only like take two threads. I personally believe to have it hit the uh, to hit the to hit the mark. But as for the last two skills, which is basically like a shield and horse riding or horseback, yeah, I am way behind on those two skills. Despite that, I've spent a lot of time Solaris. I've done plenty of training threads, but as writer, like I'm not doing what I should basically. Particularly because I don't know why when I'm not very good with riding any training or combat with the shield. At least that's how I feel. So, so in truth, it's kind of difficult for me. But as for horseback riding, I'd say, yeah, I haven't really started that as diligently as I should. I basically got a measly few points in it, and from that point, I haven't done any thread that would merit an increase in such points. I have not made I have not made it a focus as I have should, and I most likely am overcomplicating it. I mean, there are plenty of material online I could use. I could actually ask Goss about it. Uh, I'm sure she won't mind much, particularly because, well, from the impression I get, she loves horses. uh, or rather, especially because her business, her day-to-day business involves her horses some of the time. Uh, and yeah, there's just plenty of material I could use, and I'm not using them. I suppose I'm procrastinating far too much, especially with this free time I'm supposed to have, but I'm just not using to its fullest. Uh, now, now that's just in terms of skills. In terms of character, I'd say Krieg is benefiting a lot from it, as lore-wise, and basically it's from his point of view of the world, really. Uh, because Krieg, as he is, he was actually never much of a Sunberthian, despite his rough and tumble attitude, if I could call it that, really. Yeah, but yeah, he was like your typical hero who says, "Hey, why not just do what's right, people? I mean, come on. Hey, why are you being too hard on the guy? Come on." And now he's part of this order where there's a strict adherence to law. Mm, okay, he sees it's not without reason. They're not being tyrants for the sake of being tyrants. No, they're just a few thousand people outnumbered like 100 to 1, I suppose, or 10 to 1, 100 to 1, yeah. And so, if they show any laxness in their attitude, particularly because the Solarian Knights control large tracts of land, so if they weren't strict, they'd be in much, much trouble with the civilian populace, and probably from their point of view, that if they aren't so strict, chaos would find a way to run rampant. And as we've seen with the Knights, despite their best efforts, Solaris frequently gets into trouble from outside sources, and yes, and very frequently from within as well. Excuse me. And yeah, he definitely views, okay, the Knights are good people. He wants to be a knight, but whether he will be a knight is still uncertain. Uh, after all, the future is not something one could predict. So who knows what will happen in the future? But yeah, in general, I'd say Knighted is going well, just not as well as it should be, but only because that's my fault as a writer. Yeah, that's yeah. All right, I've been speaking nearly for 15 minutes now, and this is as good as any stop. So I do hope you enjoyed my video. I do hope I was understood. Really, I've been babbling. Uh, Again, I'm signing off. I hope you have a good day and a good night.